Today on Psychology Doodles, we discover what is cognitive behavioural therapy, and does it really help as much as people say that it does? Remember to work with your doctor or a good therapist to help you apply the ideas and ensure they're right for you. So, what is cognitive behavioural therapy, or CBT for short? Let's find out. Cognitive behavioural therapy combines cognitive psychology and behavioural psychology and draws on many of the ideas stemming back all the way from the behavioural tradition where Pavlov and his dogs first came to prominence, all the way through to the more modern 60s and 70s cognitive psychology revolution, where psychologists really became interested in how our thoughts and our beliefs drove our emotion and therefore affected our psychological well-being. There's a very strong evidence base within CBT. There's many studies, many of them RCTs, that show CBT is very helpful for many psychological difficulties that we might come up against. These include things like anxiety and depression, but also OCD, PTSD, panic disorder, phobias and bipolar disorder, and also things such as chronic pain problems, fibromyalgia and IBS. And of course, sports psychology is getting more interested in CBT as well. Let's have a look at a specific situation in which we can explore the underlying theory of CBT. CBT says that in relation to a situation, we will experience certain thoughts or certain beliefs will be activated for us that will allow us to perceive that situation in a certain way. Depending on how we perceive the situation, we'll get a certain emotional response. A feeling will show up in relation to that. Now, of course, feelings tend to have a certain physical element to them, a specific physical set of sensations that we will experience. And these physical sensations prime us to behave in a certain way, whether that's to behave towards something that we want or to get away from something that's painful or unpleasant to us. And in turn, these behavioural responses that we engage in can drive our beliefs, reinforce our thinking patterns. Let's have a look at a specific example just to bring this alive a little bit for you, so you can see this in action. Let's imagine that somebody gets an email from their boss. Their boss says to you, "Come and see me later on for a chat." And let's say in that situation, you perceive that as a threat, something that wasn't a pleasant experience. Perhaps your mind says to you that you've done something wrong, you're in trouble, you've made a mistake and they found out. Maybe it even starts to tell you that you're going to get fired and you're not going to be able to afford your rent. If those type of thoughts show up and we start to worry about those things, then the type of emotional reaction we get will probably be one of stress and anxiety. So let's say you're there and your mind is telling you these ideas that you're in trouble, you're going to get fired. You start to notice anxiety showing up for you. That will have a certain set of those physical sensations we talked about. Perhaps you start to notice your heart is beating a little faster, you're breathing a little bit heavier, you have an urge to get away from that situation. Maybe you even become preoccupied with it. You can't seem to take your attention away from it. That might drive your behaviour. Perhaps you email your boss back and you say, "Can we catch up tomorrow instead? I'm really not feeling well today. In fact, I think I need to go home." And you do it. You go home, you avoid the situation. But maybe this now reinforces some of those worries. Maybe your mind now starts saying, "But what if they think I'm deliberately going home because I don't want to speak to them? Maybe they think that implies I'm guilty about something. Maybe they think I'm slacking off. Maybe they think I'm not doing my job or not capable of doing my job well enough." That will reinforce those emotions, which reinforce the physical sensations, drive our behavior, reinforce our thoughts, and around we go. And that creates what we call a vicious spiral. So what does CBT do about all this? Well, let's use our little friend here. Perhaps because of life experiences that she has a belief about herself that she's failed, she's not good enough, she's a loser. And maybe those thoughts drive the way she feels. She feels low, maybe she feels hopeless or depressed or down. And in turn, because she feels that way, she starts avoiding things. She doesn't see her friends and family as much. She stays home a lot, doesn't go to work, doesn't engage in hobbies. And that reinforces the idea that she's failing at life, not living life how she wants. Maybe she starts comparing herself to other people, and she gets caught in that vicious cycle. Well, CBT would target two of those key areas. The first is our cognitions, the thoughts and beliefs that she's holding. And CBT would look to challenge those thoughts, to explore how useful they are for her. There's a variety of ways that CBT can do that, and often we'll do things like behavioural experiments or worry and rumination management, re-scripting our beliefs. The other thing we'll do is explore our behaviours and really ask, is this who I want to be in the world? Is this how I want to be living my life? And can we start to explore behavioural changes? Getting out a little bit more, engaging in exercise, seeing friends and family. And over time, we'd start to work with our thoughts, work with our behaviours to change the way we feel. So to give you a summary, CBT is a short, structured therapy. The session lengths can vary. Some people have 6 to 10 sessions. Some people have a little bit more. It depends on the service and the type of difficulty you're struggling with. But it tends to be a fairly structured and short service compared to most general psychology approaches. CBT very much focuses on the here and now. So whilst we recognise the importance of our learning history and our past experiences, we don't spend the majority of sessions going over and over what happened and unpicking everything. It's more asking that question, what are you struggling with right now, and what can we do about it? There's a variety of modalities that CBT can be engaged with. Many people will do face-to-face sessions where you meet up with your CBT therapist and you'll sit together and work through some of the CBT ideas. Other people will do the same thing, they just do it on the phone because it's a little bit more convenient for some people. And a big movement within CBT now is online CBT, which again is more convenient for a lot of people. They don't have to travel, they can log on in the comfort of their own home, etc. CBT is really based on that skill building approach. So if you imagine that you wanted to get better at tennis, you could talk about tennis, you could read books on tennis, you could watch other people playing tennis. But ultimately at some point, you've got to get on the court. You've got to start swinging your racket and practicing. And that's what CBT does. So CBT is all about how do we make our conversations transfer into your everyday life. And we do that through homework and out of sessions tasks that we invite people to practice and engage in between sessions. CBT really comes down to those two key ideas, making changes in how we think and changes in how we behave. It's got a great evidence base. Many people find it really useful. And if you want to find out a little bit more in terms of how to make the most of your CBT sessions or explore specific CBT ideas, then make sure you check out our channel because we've got lots of videos on there covering those different topics. Also, we've got weekly updates on a variety of content from within the world of psychology. If you don't want to miss out, make sure you subscribe below and we'll make sure that you are one of the first people to check out the new Psychology Doodle videos as they come out each week. I hope you found today's video useful. It was just to give you a whistle-stop tour of the CBT approach, give you a little bit of the underlying theory about how our thoughts can drive our feelings, that drive our behaviours, that reinforce our way of thinking, and the fact that CBT really focuses on those two key areas, making changes in how we think and changes in how we behave. I wish you a great week ahead, and I hope you join us soon. Take care.